is awesome. I think we should do that every Sunday. That is really cool. So, good morning. How is everyone this beautiful morning? Oh my gosh. One of the things that I am constantly amazed at here living in Tucson is I was telling my husband the other day the amount of rain that we're getting. I'm not used to that. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful, yeah, it's not normal. Oh, okay. Did I bring it with me? I don't know. So, good morning. Oh my gosh. So, my monthly theme is called basically rolling away the stones in your life. How many of us feel sometimes like they're boulders? Yes. And what I want to teach you or teach us, because I learn along with you, is how to turn those wonderful boulders into grains of sand. And one of the things I was approaching this week, and I want to share something with all of you, because what happens is I am given a task that I'm to come up with the themes and everything for each month. So I sat down and I decided what I was going to speak about for the month of March. And it's been interesting because it doesn't always work out that way as of today. When I was approaching working on my talk for all of you, and I realized that my theme today was called "Yes, you can put all your eggs in one basket." I thought, well, yes, that is very true. And the reason why it's true is because of the way we believe and the way we think and the way we live this philosophy that no matter what happens, we can put everything in one basket. It's a little heavy sometimes, and sometimes it can be a little daunting, but we get through it. And what eggs, and I love this because you know me, I love history. So, how it came about was by the gentleman that wrote the Don Quixote. And he said, "It is the part of a wise man to keep himself today for tomorrow and not venture all his eggs in one basket." And what he meant by that is to diversify, to put things, scatter them around and not worry about everything at once. I think we have another saying is, how do you eat an elephant? One, exactly. One bite at a time. Because sometimes when we look at an elephant or we look at the problem, or I don't want to say problem, whatever issue we are looking at, we tend to look at it beyond our understanding. How the heck am I going to do this? How the heck am I going to attack this? And we look at it and we say, okay, I'll just take it all in and do it. And then we become a hot mess, and we're not good for ourselves and we're not good for anyone else. So how do we manage to take things apart? Well, in the science of mind, what we look at it is, okay, yeah, I've got all these wonderful things that I'm having to deal with, and it's okay, because what I know is right where I am, so is God. And I know that all of this will pass. I know that all of this will get done. It'll get done in divine time. Sometimes not my time, but divine time. And it does always come about for my highest good. The biggest thing we have to have is patience. I'm even learning that in some of the things that happen. But what I'd like you to invite yourself to understand is when you're looking at the basket and putting everything in it, it's a huge container. And that container is God. Everything that we do, everything that we create is with God. I'm sorry to say you can't do this alone. So if you're going to try, get over it, because it's not going to happen. You are partnered with this beautiful essence called love. And it's going to love you through whatever difficulty you are experiencing. And I want you to know, shift happens. It will happen. Shift is all part of what we are doing. It is moving forward. It's moving in and out of whatever is no longer serving, supporting us, and making us feel safe. What it allows us to do is see what is really working in our lives and what we need to get rid of, which is sometimes a challenge. And then when we realize that, yeah, I don't need it anyway, then we can move on and get to where we really know we should be, because there is this wonderful thing called intuition. And we know things about ourselves, and we know when something isn't gelling, when something doesn't feel right. And so when we know that that particular thing doesn't feel right, know that that's God saying, hey, you, think about your highest good. And that's what happens, is then we say, okay, yeah, I can do that. One of the things that I love about the science of mind teaching is that we have spiritual principles that teach different things every week. And every week I talk about something different, or at least I try. And one of the spiritual principles I want to address this week has affected all of us, whether you know it or not. There have been some interesting things that have been done and experienced by three beautiful individuals. And this morning when I got up, I thought, well, how do I present this? Because they are truly beautiful examples of the manifestation and how God works through our lives. And I call them the hip, the head, and the heart. And they are three individuals that know this teaching beyond. And what they have demonstrated to me is how this works. You know, at times we think, well, the science of mind, we come here and, it's not like going to church. It's actually sort of like going to a lecture. I was thinking about that. I mean, we have our music, we have our sacred time, but what we're learning are spiritual tools on how to create a better life. And what I have seen demonstrated by these three individuals is a conviction beyond a conviction of how they were going to experience what was being presented to them. Sharon with her hip, Greg with his heart, and now Pat Masters with her head, with a small tumor they have found in her head. And what I know about these three individuals is they practice the presence. They know without a doubt how God works through them, in them, and through whatever they were and have been experiencing. And they are amazing people. And what I say is, I get up here every week and I try to share with you the spiritual principles that I know, and I want you to know. But what I'm knowing also is you all are my greatest teachers as well. And I see this demonstrated in these three beautiful individuals, that each one of them, prior to going into their surgery, into their experience, they knew without a doubt nothing was wrong. They were perfect. They were healthy. They also knew that these surgeons and the people that touched them, or the people that talked to them, were also knowing that love and that light and that healing consciousness that was surrounding everything that was going to be done. And each one of them had a positive experience. I have to tattle on Pat right now. When I went to see her on Thursday, she has absolutely no fear. And what I loved about it is she told me, she says I called David and she says I told him I wanted him to play the Rocky theme because that's how I feel. She says I feel invincible. I feel like I can take on the world. I have no fear of what is occurring right now because I know I'm fine. And so what happened is they had the white coats basically told her, okay, we're going to, do what we're going to do, and then you'll probably be in ICU for a few days or, however long it takes. She was in ICU barely 24 hours. And then she was shifted into another room because her consciousness was, no, I'm done. And what I love about this is that she also named her little bubble. She called it Ainsley. So that way she knew that Ainsley had to be evicted. Was getting its eviction notices. Does not have any room in here. Does not serve my body in any way. And she knew that without a doubt. As did Sharon with her hip. She knew that those that were working on her hip and were putting everything into place for her to work were fine. Within was it 24 hours? She wasn't even hardly using a cane or a walker. And you all have seen her jump up here like, what surgery? What surgery did she have? And now we have Greg back. Yes, the beautiful shining light and spirit that he is, and he is demonstrating how that beautiful heart continues to just expand and work within him and shine and just keep going like a little ever ready bunny. So what I'm saying is that we can be told certain things, doesn't mean that we necessarily have to accept them. Now Ernest Holmes says, and that's this morning, and I really love that thought, the spiritual thought, because Ernest Holmes said, it is a mental state. Therefore, we are correct when we say that if we can change the mental state, we can change the outward form. So when we change that state of our consciousness, we experience something totally different. So if someone's telling us, oh, well, you're going to experience this or that or whatever, and we simply go, no, not interested, we can have that experience. We can, because what we've done is we've already set the conviction. We've already set and said, no, I don't accept that. I don't have to have that experience because my story is different than what you're telling me. And we think, can I really do that? Yes. Yes, you can. We've had in our history of New Thought, we had Mesmer and we had Quigley. We had all these wonderful people and Swedenborg and there's countless others that have always shown us how the mind works and how this energy, this unseen energy works through us as us. We can heal our body. It is daunting at times because we do look at, people with medical degrees and say, okay, well, if they say I have something, then I obviously do. First, let me tell you, if someone says you have a dis-ease, you're not that. It's like my mother, many centuries ago, had a diagnosis shortly after my father died that she had bone cancer. It was very interesting. I won't go into it today, but she was told she had bone cancer. And she asked me one day, she says, honey, do you think I can reverse this? And I said, well, of course, because you are not cancer. The doctor said you have it, but you are void of it. Yes, your body may be experiencing this, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it, that you can say, no, it has no room in my body. You are not your disease, whatever it is. It's just giving us a little bit more information than we really cared to deal with. But whatever experiencing we're having, we also know with conviction that love is right wherever that is in our body. And that it too is being evicted, whatever it is. What we understand is that we are whole, that we were born into this life, this soul was born into being wholeness. It is perfect. God made each one of us perfect in our own way. And that's what I love about this life, is we all get to experience our differences. It's amazing that we get to experience with each other, and all the different things that and of course all the wonderful stuff that we ourselves say, well, I don't know. Do I really want to do that? And then we go on a spiritual path and we find unity, divine science, Christian science, whatever it is. And that leads us to a higher consciousness of knowing even more about ourselves. You know, many people have come to me when they say, oh, you're a science of mind minister. And I say, yes, well, isn't that where they don't believe in doctors? I'm like, oh no, we believe and we need help. Because yes, I mean, in the science of mind principles, we say, yeah, the mind can heal everything, but we still need a little help. Sometimes we do need antibiotics. Sometimes we do need something, that helps us. We can say in our mind, yeah, we're healing it, but sometimes we need a little help from our friends, and that's okay too. So whatever the body requires is sometimes what we need to work on ourselves. Mary Baker Eddy, that's a long name for her. She taught the power of the mind, how to heal. And it's interesting because she learned from the same people that Ernest Holmes learned from. And yet what she did, she said, well, I don't need doctors because I know the power of the mind can heal everything. And so she created a corps of practitioners that actually acted as nurses in a way to bring people through whatever they were. But in science of mind and unity and divine science and a few others that are metaphysical, we understand, yes, the mind is very powerful, but again, we need a little help from our friends. And Ernest Holmes knew this to be true. He was the one, oh, yes, this is wonderful. I love this story. There's this book that Chris is reading, and he published it in the newsletter, and it's called Your Aladdin's Lamp. And it's also under another book, I think it's called Inner Light. So it's the same book, just different title. Well, I have loved this book since forever, and I have like 3 volumes because the first volume I have, it literally, I will bring it, it is wrapped with rubber bands because I love this book so much. And what is wonderful about this book is it tells the stories of when Ernest and Dr. Bill and Barker and everybody were gathering together and evolving our teaching. So they were talking about when he was, writing the Science of Mind textbook and different experiences. And one of the experiences that he had is, and I think he did this just to egg Dr. Hornaday on, Dr. Bill, is one day, actually there's 2 instances. One day they were walking in the neighborhood, because Ernest liked to walk in the neighborhood, and they were walking around and looking at different things, and they noticed a home that was sort of in disrepair, and Ernest just simply stood there, closed his eyes and looked, and Dr. Bill was kind of like, okay, what are you doing? But Ernest, what he was doing is he's doing a spiritual mind treatment for this family or whoever occupied the house. And so he later explained that to Dr. Bill. And so Dr. Bill, being relatively new, even though he had been a Methodist minister, he started bugging Ernest almost daily. So it's been a week. Haven't seen anything going. Yeah, I know, Ernest would say. And then Dr. Bill, maybe a few days later, would come and go, Ernest, nothing's happening. What's going on? It's okay. Don't worry about it. So I think it was like the third or fourth week, all of a sudden they walked by and the house was transformed. And so were the people. And Dr. Bill was kind of like, okay, this stuff works. Then another instance is when he and actually, no, I think it was another friend of his. They were in a car riding, and Ernest had cut his hand, and it was bleeding pretty well. And he said, "We better get a Band-Aid or get some stitches on that. That doesn't look really well." And Ernest was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." He simply put his hand over the cut, and they continued their conversation and sort of forgot about it. And then Ernest removed his hand. Removed his hand. And yeah, it does come out right. And it was completely healed. He's like, what? What do you mean? But these are demonstrations of how the science of mind works. Ernest says the possibility of healing physical disease, changing environment, attracting friends, and demonstrating supply through the power of right thinking rests entirely on the theory that we are surrounded by an infinite mind, which reacts to our thought according to law. You can think yourself well. Don't give up your doctors, but you can think yourself well. And that is meeting them in the middle. So I'm going to go back to Rocky for a minute here. Pat wanted the Rocky theme because there is a belief, of course, in perfect health, which I know Sharon and Greg and she all share. And the name Rocky actually comes from an Old English and is derived from the word rock, meaning rock. Rocks are known to be solid and unwavering, which reflects the popular connotation that accompanies the name Rocky. The name has gained a strong cultural significance, especially in countries where mountainous regions are common. I would say that about us. The name implies stability and strength, which is what draws many parents towards choosing it for their children. And when we look at the name Rocky, it is a rock of which you all stand on, of strength. The name Rocky, of course, was popularized back when Rocky, I'm trying to remember when that came out. Was it the 80s? Late 70s? Yeah, because I remember I think I was in high school when it came out. And, that was a long time ago. Very long time ago. What was admirable about the character, and this I know for each of them and for us as well, it is expressed determination, resilience, and fighting spirit, which has made the name even more popular for all of us to use. You know, when we do look at that, we are, in the science of mind, we are determined, we are resilient, and we do have a fighting spirit. That's who we are as religious scientists. So I want to read to you a little poem that I found. It says, and it is on the theme of Gonna Fly, because that is the Rocky theme. I thought it was Eye of the Tiger. I think that was like the second one, maybe. It's still applicable. There is a freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky, and you ask, what if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? And so we look at our self-acceptance and our self-love. We are that and a whole lot more. We are love, and we are part of this beautiful creative power of all that is, that shows us the way, that shows us that when we have challenges in our life, that it's okay. that our next step will be towards our highest good. And whatever it is for us to know from that experience, please know with a full and grateful heart that God's got you all the time, 24/7, 365. And so I invite us just to turn within, knowing this beautiful love light that I will name as God, the God of our understanding that is universal love that creates and supports and holds us in whatever we go through. And what I understand and know and accept for each and every one here is that that love light burns within each one of us. It propels us forward. It continues to hold us in our highest good. It gives us the answers for whatever is going on in our lives. And when we pray, however we do that, we know that love is right where we are. Again, God is at the center of everything. So what I understand is that we lift everything up that appears to us to be a challenge and let it go and let God. And know that it is love and that it returns to us with everything we need to know and then more. So I am so grateful for this time together that we share. I bless this beautiful spiritual community, Tucson Center for Spiritual Living. I bless the community of Tucson. I bless this global community that we all share one heart, one life, knowing that there is peace in the world right now. Know that we, as a human community, are already creating that. And what I also know is that this heart that has been passed throughout this community this morning, it uplifts and it carries all that is good, all that is God. And I just say thank you, God, for all that is, all that will be. I release this into God's perfect law of love, knowing all is well. And I know it to be so. And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen. And yay, God!